Birds and Bees Don't Fuck is produced by Champagne Womb LLC for your entertainment and education. It contains material that may not be suitable for those under the age of 18. Audience discretion is advised. The opinions, thoughts, and ideas expressed by guests on the show are solely their own. Now, without further ado, please enjoy the show. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but sex education of the past failed us. 'Cause birds and bees, they don't fuck. Welcome to Birds and Bees Don't Fuck, a podcast where we learn exactly how bad our sex education, or lack thereof, really was. I'm your host, Ariel Zadok. I'm a producer, intimacy coordinator, and sex educator. My guest today is a comedian, writer, and host. Welcome to the show, Jil Chrissie.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, girl. I love how we immediately connected on our beauty needs.
I know, right? It's such a girl thing to do.
I know. It's like, I love your hair, and we got lashes, and we got nails, and all the things. We go straight to the serious stuff.
Go straight to the serious. Actually, it's pretty serious.
I know.
It's sus, but it is.
I know. I was talking to somebody not that long ago, just, because I feel like sometimes we have to kind of not validate's not the word I'm looking for, but like justify why we spend the money on these things.
Yeah.
And it's not really a superficial thing, but it's how you present yourself to the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
It's important, but also it's like literally I feel like I have to do these things so people can treat me like a human being.
Oh, yeah.
Like treat me nicely.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you don't look good, people treat you pretty bad.
Fucking pretty privilege, right?
Yeah.
That is so fucking real. Yeah. It's a thing that people get real uncomfortable with, as they do with all privilege conversations.
I know. They don't like to talk about it.
But pretty privilege is fucking real. I mean, I feel like they've done shows on that too.
Yeah, they've done shows. It's not that most people are pretty ugly. So it's not
that's
not ugly. I wouldn't say ugly,
yeah.
but average. Like most people are just look like human beings. And then you have those extra pretty people who are just like, whoa. And so they get treated really good because they're like, I can't believe your face looks like that.
Right?
Look at your skin.
You're so symmetrical.
Yeah. Who's symmetrical like this other than you in the world?
Yeah. Your nose, it's so perfect.
Yeah. Like, can you even breathe through that little thing? Oh my God.
Your jawline is
massive.
Wow.
What a beautiful jawline.
The angles on that thing.
Like you could cut something. Yeah.
I was out last night with a friend that looks like Santa Claus, and he has recently started doing Santa Claus gigs. I don't know how recently, but whatever. It was right after a comedy pole show. It's a Christina Kalf's show, and he was doing the pole dancing interstitials. We need like a little pole cleaner.
Yeah.
So this guy Mark was doing it, and he looks like Santa, and he was telling me that morning he went out to breakfast, just like a random place or whatever, and these guys next to him bought him breakfast because he looked like Santa.
See?
It's real.
And I mean, Santa's not beautiful, but he is.
But he makes people feel good.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like,
that's so true.
Pretty people, even if they're mean, just I guess their mere existence makes people feel good.
Yeah, they're like celebrities without the credentials. So if there's celebrities who are really pretty, who get pretty privilege and celebrity privilege, but then there are people who are just fine. And they get a lot of things as if they were celebrities.
Yeah.
But it's really, they just look good. They just look television ready.
Yeah. That TV ready face.
That TV ready face everywhere they go. Even if they try to scruff it up, they just look like a pretty scruffed up person.
Like you're so pretty though.
Yeah.
You just look so nice.
Get out of my face.
Your face is so nice.
Right? I could grow a beard tomorrow. Get out of my face.
Yeah, fuck off. I used to work, my first job was as a talent agent. And so like all day I was just surrounded by comp cards, which is like its own thing. But it would be really interesting because these models would come in, like I worked in the video division. So I was always in like, film, television, and commercials. But these models would come in and you do not recognize these people on the street because some of the people that look so incredible in editorial look real weird in life. And I'm not saying that as like putting anybody down, but it's
different
just
face. They have like a different type of face.
Really, really interesting to see that. And I was really young. I mean, that was my first job out of college. I was an intern and they were like, we like, please don't go. And I was like, fucking great. So I was like 21 or something like that. So like pretty formative still. Little baby.
Yeah, little baby.
Speaking of formative, where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in Denver, Colorado.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm from Denver.
I think you're my first Coloradian. Is that right? Coloradian?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You can say that.
How is that? What do you remember from your sex education there?
I don't. I am high all the time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding about being high a lot, but
no, I get that.
on weed.
But I do support a microdose.
Right? Well, and shrooms.
Shit makes you feel good, you know?
Yeah, it makes you feel great.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Colorado, what was the question?
What do you remember about, like, what was it like?
My sex education?
Yeah.
I didn't have a sex education. Like, okay, so in 3rd grade, this is what I remember as my earliest, like education about sex. It was in 3rd grade, and we had to watch this lady have a baby, and we saw her big hairy vagina.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, God damn, like, I don't think I'm supposed to be looking at that.
Yeah,
but they showed a third graders, this lady's big hairy vagina having a baby come out of it. It was so graphic. But that's the first thing I remember as far as like having education. I remember it was a whole long video about stuff. I don't remember anything about that video.
Just the trauma part.
Just the trauma hairy vagina part.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember anything else about my sex education either, which is, I mean, I'm a sex educator, so it's not super ironic that like this is my podcast, but also the fact that I'm asking other people, I'm like, what do you remember? Because I don't.
Oh, you don't? So I'm not crazy,
shit.
Right?
No, okay. I really don't remember much of anything, but that video is seared in everyone's memory.
So everyone remembers that?
Most people have had that experience that I've spoken to so far.
Wow, that's wild.
It's like the video.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they all saw the same one.
And that lady got paid nothing.
And she got paid nothing. Just for everyone to see her vagina. Like if I was a teacher watching that with a 3rd grade class, I'd be like, whoa.
This is a lot.
I cover the TV like, y'all don't need to see that.
Because you're not ready.
We could just tell you what happens. You don't have to look at it.
But here's the thing. They don't tell you.
Yeah.
They would rather show you this like wild. And like
that's wild.
Some people, I don't remember if we got context or not, but like some people are like, yeah, we had no context. So you're just like watching this thing and then you're like, is holy shit.
It looks terrifying.
It is.
And to kids, what are kids supposed to take from that?
Yeah, like what does that even
mean?
What
are kids supposed to take from it?
Yeah.
So weird.
And it's interesting because the reality is that it's fucking terrifying. Like having a baby is one of the highest risk things you can do.
Yeah, it is.
As a person with a vagina and a uterus and a vulva and all that. Like it is scary. You might die at any point.
Yeah.
Like you're probably going to tear. Like
they have to sew like women's like areas back up. That's pretty wild.
They got to cut it up so that it doesn't tear and then sew it up.
Yeah.
Not every time, but that's a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's a lot of once.
Yeah, that's a lot. We didn't get that lesson. That was not. Rosie's like, hello, you're here. Please pay attention to me. These creatures of mine, like sometimes I wish I had like a bigger, I mean, I always wish I had like a bigger studio and all of that stuff. Sponsor me. So, because then I'd be like, these creatures are just like around, but lots of times Ruby gets in. Anyway, talking about the wrong pussy. So what else do you remember from like being, like, what was the culture like in Denver?
The culture, let's see. I really feel like it wasn't much of a culture as far as like, like sexually.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, okay, like growing up in high school, I remember it wasn't talked about as much. I thought that my friends, like by 6th grade, I thought all my friends were fucking.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, y'all can't be though. Like
were
as
they?
An adult now, I'm like, y'all wasn't.
12. No.
Yeah, like
some
they were.
I mean,
some of the kids were.
Yeah.
Some of the kids were, but most of the kids were not.
Exactly.
And most people lose their virginity when they're like 19, 20. And that's what no one ever talks about. Is like, oh, there's so many kids who aren't like having sex in high school. There's actually a lot of kids who aren't having sex in high school.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. I wasn't having sex in high school.
Yeah.
So
I was.
You were?
Yeah.
How often? You had a boyfriend?
I did. So this is kind of problematic. So I had vaginal intercourse for the first time. I was 16 and he was 21, which now as an adult, I'm like, that was problematic.
Yeah.
But at that age, like I ghosted him after that. Like we were hooking up and like whatever. We worked at the same camp. And we were hooking up and I wanted to, like, I wanted to have the experience because for me, it was never like, even my first kiss was very much like, well, I just want to have the experience.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this, it didn't have to be this big, like romantic thing and blah, blah, blah. So I had sex with him once and then I ghosted him. And this was like right after the school year started. Cause I remember like in the beginning of the school year, he would like drop me off at school. It's like 21-year-old dude is like dropping off this 16-year-old. Like this is a problem.
I heard that happens a lot.
It wasn't for me, but like, you know, whatever. He like would be in jail.
Yeah.
So anyway, which is like a whole other interesting conversation around consent and age of consent and, you know, mindset. And I don't feel damaged at all from my experience, but I am one experience. And I think I'm also a very rare experience because I was also kind of driving that. But anyway, then I hooked up with my high school boyfriend who I was with for like a year and a half. And we did have sex and, you know, we did all the things, but it was funny because he had sex with his last girlfriend, but like apparently just like once, and it was like just the tip kind of situation. They like kind of, he's like, well, we kind of had sex, but like I don't know if we really had sex. And I was like, well, I've only had sex once too. So then we're like, we'll just say we lost it to each other, as you know, like losing it, because it's so virginity is not a thing, everybody. It doesn't. It's literally not real. So yeah, so I was having sex, and then when we broke up, like, you know, I was still fucking. But
what do you mean virginity is not a thing?
Virginity is not real. It's a social construct. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. But why is it? But what about your hymen and shit like that?
So your hymen is something that all babies with vaginas are born with. And the reason that the hymen is there is to stop other fluids, specifically the seminal fluids, from getting into the body through the vagina. So all babies are born with a hymen. Once the baby is out of the womb, then the hymen deteriorates at a different level. And every hymen is a different size. So some of them are going to be a little bit, you know, bigger and more, you know, covering the space completely over the cervix. Others are going to disintegrate at different times, but there is no such thing as breaking a hymen because the hymen in and of itself is broken when the baby is born. It's only there to protect the body of the baby when it's inside so that shit ain't getting up there. But once you're out, it has no purpose anymore. So it naturally goes away. When people are bleeding because they're having sex for maybe the first couple of times, it's because the tissue in your vagina is tearing because there's not enough arousal. There's not enough vaginal fluid. There's not enough lubrication. There's too much friction. Maybe a finger is going up there first, and the fingernails are cutting the space. That shit is from tearing. It's not from the hymen. Or maybe they're on their period or whatever, or, you know, it could be an assault or any of those things. But all of it comes down to, it ain't the hymen that you're breaking because that shit is not broken. Sometimes if there's a baby that the hymen for some reason doesn't, like, it has to break because things are always coming out of the vagina. So when you're inside and there's like a bunch of fluids around you and you're like living in a case of fluid, you got to stop it from coming in. But as soon as you're not in that case of fluid, everything's got to come out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there is no hymen to break. Wow. That shit deteriorates.
Oh, I can't wait to retell that.
It's true.
To everybody.
Yeah. And so the whole idea of virginity really comes from purity culture and ownership and this idea that people with vulvas, and I'll just say girls and women from now on, because that's, you know, what we're talking about, a patriarchal system where like they don't even understand that intersex people exist in the world. So we'll say girls and women, but it comes from a perspective of owning girls and telling them that, you know, they have this thing that
to break.
To break, and like making them like, if it's like a prize to win to like break a, like all that shit. But it comes down to like ownership and purity culture and like keeping girls pure and yeah. So it's all a piece of control.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with science. You cannot scientifically prove whether or not somebody is a virgin. Obviously, like, there's like rape kits and stuff like that. That's a different situation, obviously. But in terms of like, have you had a penis in your vagina? There is no thing.
Yeah.
Then there's the separate conversation around, well, what is sex? And if you are two people with vulvas, there's many times no penetration. So then what the fuck is virginity? Are you saying that every lesbian who's never had a penis is like
a virgin?
They're not.
Yeah.
Or every person with a penis who's only had sex with other people with penises are also virgins?
Yeah,
no.
like
what the fuck are we talking about?
And what
here?
does the man have to break? I mean, all of that could just be shut down just by asking, what is it? What makes a man not a virgin again?
Exactly.
I mean, anymore.
Again. Ain't nobody cares. That's the part. Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
The point.
And nobody gives a damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's pretty wild.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all fucking bullshit.
I could see that. I could see that.
And we don't learn that in our classes.
No, we don't. What do you have to say about like women's sexuality? Because I don't think that I really, like, I've been horny all in my like, teenage years and 20s and all that stuff. But like, I didn't have sexual pleasure until I was 30 plus.
Yeah.
I'm 30 plus common. Right now, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm not like 40. When I was in my 30s.
I'm 40. So when I was in my 30s.
Like at all. But not that 40's old, but you just don't look
Yeah. Like yeah. I always joke, I have no kids and no husband. So.
Oh, you living in a good life.
Living the dream. Just me, my pussy, and my puppy.
Okay. Turn up. Men have no idea.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. People with vulvas, penises, nobody was taught how to pleasure a person with a vulva.
Yeah.
We're running around the world like we don't fucking know. And if you didn't grow up masturbating or exploring yourself, you're not going to find out.
Yeah.
And you're sure as shit not fucking anybody who knows because the sexual script was always penis gets hard, penis jackhammers in vagina, penis comes,
and done. That's it. And then we're done. That's way too many women. Way too many. Like, it's kind of scary to think about it because it means that you don't have anything to do with what's going on. Like, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And that's so like, it's detrimental to, I think, your psyche as a person, not just as a woman, just like as a person. It can't feel good it doesn't feel good for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but that type of stuff to me is like, what kind of sets us back a lot as a race, like a human race. You know what I'm saying? Just ignoring the needs of one gender so much is kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's a massive part of the population.
Yeah.
Like a massive, massive part of the population. And it's fucking wild when you just stop and think about it.
Yeah.
But you're right. There is a lack of participation on our part because there's also, if you grow up with the experience of a woman in pretty much any country, it's all about appeasing for the most part.
Yeah, it is.
It's yes, sir. It's you don't want to upset anybody. Be nice. Don't be a loud girl. Your needs don't matter. Don't upset the apple cart or fucking horse or whoever, and a part of that is your safety. You don't want to, and this is what I think a lot of people don't understand about sexual assault is that so much of it is people act and react to keep themselves safe.
Exactly.
So fawning is something that we don't talk about when you're just like, okay, I'm here. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it and get it over with. That's a survival mechanism.
That is a survival mechanism. It is. And a lot of women are doing that in relationships. They're doing it just to get along. They're doing it. They're doing it. And men are doing it too. I'm not saying men aren't doing it, but I'm just speaking from like my feminine woman experience is like, I've done it. And I know my girlfriends who have done it and are still doing it. And it's like, it's just normal. It's normalized that's how we're supposed to be living, you know, to appease the men sexually. We're talking sexually.
Like, yeah. But that comes out in other areas of life too.
Oh yeah, it does.
Look at a fucking boardroom, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It comes out in your work life. It comes out every single aspect of life has like sex at the base.
Yeah.
It actually does. Like your experiences, like the opportunities that you get, like there's sex down there. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't, even if it's subconscious, they don't realize that, oh, you know, like I don't know how to explain it, but it's definitely there.
100%. We're holistic beings. And so we shadow the sexual part of us as humans having a human experience. It's like, I'm having a whole human experience, but I'm not going to talk about that thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trained as a holistic health coach. And yes, we talked about relationships, but we didn't talk about sex.
No.
It was like, you need to talk to your clients about their relationships. It's not just about the food they're eating or the exercise. It's that. But we didn't specifically talk about sex.
Yeah.
Because people are fucking scared of that shit.
Scared of it for what reason? Like, it's so crazy to me that we don't sit and have open conversations about it without snickering. Like, we're like 12. Like, not even adults can sit and really have a real conversation about it. I think pornography is bad. I do watch it. I don't want to say bad, but it's not good when we're already not a healthy nation. Like we're a Christian nation. So that's another thing. I come from a heavily Christian background. And so like, I thought it was bad until like last week. And so.
and then she had a good week.
And then I had a real good weekend. No, I just, you know, I don't know. It just took me a long time to know how. And then like, there would be times when I would masturbate and then not want to fully come. Like I was scared to come.
Yeah.
That happens too. Like you're like, oh, what is that? Oh. And then you don't have like an orgasm to your fullest capabilities because you're holding back. Like I shouldn't feel good.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't enjoy this. This is not for me.
This is bad. I don't get to do this.
Exactly.
Who is this? I can't do this. I can't do this thing.
I know. That's why songs like Wet Ass Pussy is important. As much as you hate it, it's like no one as a woman is standing up tall and saying, this is what I like sexually, and it has nothing to do, or it might have a little bit to do with what men like because that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I like doing this because I know that's going to make a man hot and that makes me hot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But we don't get to just say that because we get told that we're whores and we're sluts. If we just talk about
or anti-feminist or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. If we just talk nasty or just say something. To me, I just don't understand how guys can just say anything they want.
Yeah.
And women's like, you're fucking whore. And I do understand why. I don't want to say I don't understand why. I do.
Yeah, because it's a history and misogyny and patriarchy.
It's a history and misogyny and patriarchy. But also it's like, just from a natural point of view, from nature standpoint, I feel like men feel like they don't have the capability of being strong when it comes to sex, when it comes to women. But we are the opposite of that. And I think that everyone sees it that way. And so when we say that we like dick, we sound like hoes, because when they say they like pussy, the the possibility of them getting pussy compared to the possibility of you getting dick is so much different.
Yeah.
That's why we get called hoes, because it's so much easier for us to go catch a dick than it is for them to go get have sex with a woman.
And also, I think it's a common misconception. I know it gets hot in here.
I'm hot.
I know.
Because
you're on fire, girl. Yeah. We're talking about sucking some dick. Which, listen, I love to suck a dick. That's a good time. And no one should be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And if you get turned on from having a dick in your mouth, good for you.
Good for you.
If you get turned on from licking a booty hole, then baby, lick that hole.
You better lick the hole.
You know, you want some pussy all up in those lips? You get those lips on some lips.
You get those lips on some lips.
Lips on lips, baby. Okay. I might have to name this episode Lips on Lips.
Lips on lips.
Lips on lips. Yeah, we got him here. The listeners can't see, but if you're on YouTube. Yeah, but it's just there's no reason for us to be shamed for enjoying giving sexually.
Yeah.
Because that's another part of it. That's another layer.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to power dynamics. Like, do you remember, I don't even want to say his name because I don't even remember who the fuck it was. But there was a rapper, he was like real popular in the 90s, and he was like, I don't lick pussy. Like, I don't do any of that shit. Like,
wait, what era?
I think he was like popular in the 90s. He's still doing some shit. He's a DJ Khaled, maybe?
Oh, DJ Khaled did say he doesn't eat pussy.
Like, do you know how, like, first of all, if that's your sexual preference, no problem. Like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to be bragging about, like, I don't eat pussy, that's like not the power play, bro. The power play is I've given I've had the pleasure of giving people, like some women, incredible orgasms. Do you have any fucking idea how powerful that is?
I know.
That shit is fucking hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
To be able to give somebody a high level of pleasure.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a fucking privilege.
Yeah, it is.
Second of all, it's hard.
It is hard. It's super hard. And like, they're like the whole not eating vagina thing. The reason why people were upset with him is because he said he doesn't eat pussy, but he still requires for his wife to suck his dick.
Yeah.
And it's like the nerve.
The fucking nerve.
Like, and I'm looking at his wife like, girl, you just gonna let him say that?
Right?
So anyway.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, who the fuck knows what the dynamic of that relationship is? But that's a fucking red flag.
That's a red flag to me, honey.
Oh my God. There's this guy on TikTok that he like runs around with a red flag. He'll like stitch other people's videos. So like if this came out now, I can guarantee you he would take that clip and then he'd be like, ma'am, excuse me, red flag.
Throw the red flag on him. It is a red flag. That is like, and there's rappers who say nasty shit, but it's always on their side. So it'll, you know, that song Freak a Leak by Petey Pablo. Yeah. So he's like, Freak a Leak. I'm such a freak. I'm this freak. And then he's like, love to get her pussy licked by another nigga because I ain't grown enough to do that or something, nasty enough to do that. Like, you made a whole song about being a freak, and eating a pussy is the
right? Like
that's the thing that's your thing. At. Like, that's the most basic freaky thing you could do. And that's the thing that you won't do. So you're not a freak. You're a selfish bitch.
Yeah. And a misogynist.
Yeah. And a misogynist.
Like that.
You just want people to do nasty stuff to you.
Exactly. And then you want to be able to brag about it, but you do not give a fuck about anybody else's pleasure. And that's like, that's so gross.
Ew.
To not want, like, listen, I love women. I think they're great, but I'm like, I don't go on dates with women because I don't like pussy enough.
Okay.
And like, I've dated a woman and like, great, I was getting down with her, no problem, because I loved her. Yeah. So like, that was not a problem. But like, for me to go on dates with a woman, I'm like, I don't love it enough. Like, I would like you to do it to me. Yeah. But that's an imbalance that I'm not down for, unless that's your kink, in which case call me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a different situation because some people genuinely don't like to receive. So, and that's a different conversation from withholding and that's bragging about it. Like,
exactly. That's very different. I just don't like that. And there are a lot of selfish lovers out there. Stop being a selfish ass lover.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And if you're a man, maybe your dick is doing something, but most of the time it is not.
Yeah.
So you need to do something else.
Yeah.
You got to eat pussy. You got to call somebody else, whatever.
You got to get a toy.
Whatever happened.
You got to, it's just, and generally speaking, so cervical orgasms are a thing. And
it is
fucking great. They're fucking great.
I've never had one, but I'm sure they're a thing.
I've had one person that was able to give me those, and like, that shit will make you squirt. It's good. I have an episode. It's called Cervical Orgasms Are a Thing with Wendy Perkins.
Is it better?
It's different. They're different. Yeah, they're different sensations. But it has to be the right, it's like a puzzle piece, right? Like, it has to be the right fit, and it has to, like, and you have to be aroused in the right way, because your cervix lifts when you're aroused. So when a person with a vulva and all of those parts is aroused, the vaginal, like the vagina is literally like a little envelope, and like, you ain't getting in there. She will invite you in. The vagina it will slowly open up like a beautiful clam, being like, come hither, please come inside. It's warm. We've got snacks. And your cervix lifts as well. So if you are well aroused and there's like enough room that the penis is not going to be like bumping up against organs and shit, or the toy or whatever it is that you're using, then you can potentially get to the spot where you're hitting the right nerves, where it is a very delicious sensation. But that's also like hard to get to. And it's like, you know, like again, I've only had one partner that has been the right fit for that, but like it was fucking great. But outside of that, you do need generally the external stimulation, because it's the clitoris that's actually giving us pleasure, where all the nerve endings are. And the clitoris does surround the vaginal canal. So a lot of times also, if it's people that are getting pleasure from penetration alone, which again is rare, usually it's because of where the pelvic bone is hitting the exterior of
in the clit.
Like, the clit area. So like the bone is probably on there, or there's pressure on the clit there. Maybe the clit, the gland is close to the opening of the vagina. So if you have a smaller area, that will also mean that penetration can be good alone, but it's actually not alone. And sometimes it's because there's enough girth, and that's good for that person's fit, that the bulbs and the legs of the clit and the shaft on the inside are all getting bumped up against, because it's kind of like, you know, everything is opening up while the legs and the bulbs are swelling. So it's like you've got these two things over here, and this shit is all swelling up, and now this hole is opening, and now you're putting something in there. So it's kind of like all of that pressure sometimes. But that's for not a lot of people.
That's not a lot of people. Like I have like 2 girlfriends who come from penis, and that's actually a big deal, because like that's two women I know personally. And like and they both have to get on top. Is that something that you
that's
have
another
to
thing,
do?
because it's angles too. And so, and again, that because they're on top, there's probably clitoral stimulation,
they're like
happening.
rubbing.
And again, like the clit and the vaginal opening may be closer together. And so when the penis is going in, some of that skin might be getting taken in. Like there are so many different things that are happening at once that like there probably is some clitoral stimulation, but you just don't necessarily know it, because it's not like, you know, directly on or like around, which also, sidebar, directly on for some people is not okay. So, you know.
Is it too sensitive for some people? Directly on the clit? I'm trying to think, like, no, I need you to be directly.
I mean, everybody's different, and that just goes to show, right?
What about the flower?
You know,
suction thing.
I really need to get one of those.
I want one.
I went to go buy one. I went to Pleasure Chest. Shout out to Pleasure Chest. They're great. I went to go buy one because I was like, you know, people talk about this all the time, so I just want to have it so that I can give it a test and then I can speak to it. This was like over a year ago, so I really got to go back and buy it. But one of the women that were working there, she got me to buy another one that was so fucking good. And she's like, this shit is going to make you come in 2 seconds. And she did not lie.
Really? What was it?
It's a Lilo. It's this, I'll show you afterwards. I wish I had it here, because then I could show you on air, but that would be too long for the show. But I'll show it to you. It's like a little wheel, and it's got the suction cup on it. And so it's got the different vibrations, and the way that it like hugs your vulva and the clit is like really nice.
I want it.
It's great.
I want it. And I have a husband. And you know, I love my husband, but like there are times when I want to be by myself.
Yeah, of course.
That's weird, huh?
No, it's not. It's totally normal. And in fact, thank you for saying that, because it needs to be normalized. And people do not need to feel shame for masturbating when you have a partner. Like you still have a relationship with yourself, and you need to cultivate that shit.
You do. And you still have to learn things on your own too. Like there are certain things that, like I can't tell him to do if I don't know. And I don't want to like sit there. I don't want to be there with him long ass night trying to get him to do some shit. Like I'm not like that type of woman. I'm in and out. Can we just come and go to sleep?
It's also a lot of labor.
It is a lot of labor.
I'm really passionate about supporting straight men, like cis straight men, in learning how to fuck.
Yes.
Because y'all don't know how to fuck. I love you. I love you so fucking much. Y'all don't know how to fuck for the most part. And then it's on their female partners to then not only learn it for themselves. And yes, we do absolutely have to take personal responsibility to learn what works for us and to communicate that.
Absolutely.
But what I have seen is that women are doing so much fucking labor.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And that really takes you out. And so then it makes it even harder because you yourself are trying to figure out what works for you. And now you're teaching this dude, like, you're like undoing everything he ever thought he knew.
Oh my goodness. All the porn knowledge he has.
And there's ego involved. And of course, every person with a vulva's body works differently. And I get that there is a lot of pressure on them for that. But I do find it interesting that, generally speaking, men are like not that likely to show up for a sex ed class or a panel or anything like that. So I'm trying to build classes that are all online, not live. Like I'll do some live classes, but I'm working on curriculum right now that's all like, buy it in the comfort of your home. Ain't nobody got to see it. You're doing it.
Well, men's clitorises come all the time. They don't have to worry. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, guys, please take the time to learn.
Yeah.
Read a book. If you're a nerd, like, be a nerd about everything.
Yes.
You know, like, don't just like fuck a woman and then like walk the other way. Like, learn about her body and require her to learn about your body.
Yes.
But like, you know, like work together with a bitch. Like, stop just fucking.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so much of it is like wrapped up in shame too. Like there's ego and there's shame of not knowing, and this assumption that like men grow up with this idea that they're supposed to be like these sex gods and like fuck everybody and blah, blah, blah. And so it's this combination of nobody talking about how bodies work, nobody bothering to like, they didn't actually explore the clitoris. Like they would discover it and then bury it and then discover it and then bury it. So we really didn't actually get any MRI images until the 90s.
Oh,
the fucking 90s. We were born. Okay. Like
that's crazy.
Fucking 90s.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is brand new.
Yes. So, you know, and they would see it and they were like, oh, we don't need to learn about that. So, you know, it's real fucked up. So there are a number of reasons why all of this stuff exists, but you know, that's part of like why I have this podcast. Cause I'm like, hopefully some of y'all are like, hey, this seems fun and funny. And then it's like, whoop, just learn something. But like, you didn't know that you were going to learn something today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
good.
like get it sneaky. Cause I think everyone is doing a disservice. You don't feel good when you didn't satisfy your partner.
I know. Yeah.
And she don't feel good.
Yeah.
And then she's tired from teaching herself and teaching you. And it's like, let's just work together. Let's read some books. Let's educate ourselves.
Yeah. Let's talk about like what's working and what's not. And then I also like me and my hubby, we do the same thing pretty much all the time, but I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your sexual script. Yeah. And so and everybody has a sexual script, and it's pretty much like, how do you get into it? What do you do? Ba, 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 ba. And for some people that sexual script has a lot to do with like changing things up, and that's cool.
Some people change it up a lot.
Yeah. But for a lot of people, like you're in the place where like, this is working. Like, this is good. We know how to do. We getting it. Like, good for you. Congratulations on that, my girl. We love a woman who comes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. We love a healthy couple who's like, yes, we got it. This is good.
Yeah.
But for so many people, they have a sexual script that doesn't work for them, and they don't realize that they're following this script that doesn't work for them. Or maybe they do know and they don't know how to speak up. And, you know, sexual communication is really hard when you've never really done it before.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell someone like, that wasn't good. Especially someone that you love.
Yeah, I know. You like that. But then like, how do you love them?
Yeah.
Like when me and my husband had good sex, that's when we like tolerated each other, and then we learned like we really loved each other. It was like, oh my God, I want to be around you all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but we fucked, and now I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped.
Yeah. It does, because it connects you on a different level. And now you're having like these visceral reactions to each other, and this co-creation, and you know, you're creating something together. You're creating and cultivating that erotic energy. And it's really hard to be in a long-term situation where you don't have that erotic energy around the two of you, and you struggle. And a lot of people do. And for some people, they get married for different reasons, and they get into long-term monogamous relationships for a million different reasons. But, you know, for most of us, that is a very important part that often gets like, oh, that's not important. It's not important. But
right?
like, maybe it is.
Yeah. Maybe
and you deserve to come.
Yeah, you do. Please. That's when I have a joke actually about that. And I say like it's, really important to have orgasm, basically.
It is.
And it is. And I'm talking to women and those who, anyone who identifies as, feminine woman, whatever, those with pussy. It is very important that you have an orgasm, okay? Like, make it's a part of your health, unless you're like a monk or something. I don't know. You can't be a monk if you're a woman, but
yeah, that's true. But even at that, it's still, in terms of how the body functions, it is still a really important thing, because there are a lot of important, like, healthy hormones that are released in that process of an orgasm, which is basically your pelvic muscles having, it's an uncontrollable rhythm. Like, it's the buildup and the release. And that is that's one of your body's functions. So if you're denying your body that function, it's gonna come up in different ways.
Different way, yeah. What are some ways do you think it comes up?
Stress.
Yeah, stress.
Again, you're not releasing hormones that help balance out things like cortisol and, connection to other people. It can lead to depression for some people. Like, it manifests in all different ways. But if you're not letting your body do what it naturally does, there are going to be some ramifications. And now I get that there are people who are asexual that don't engage and they don't have orgasms, and some people are fine. It doesn't always impact people, but I think I'm more referencing those who are withholding because they feel like they need to, or because it's a religious thing, or like there is this whole movement with these dudes that like don't come because they're like, I'm saving up my masculinity or like whatever the fuck, which is like, no, that's not a thing. And in fact, if you have a penis, it's very good for your prostate, because otherwise there are things in your body that are building up.
Yeah.
Your sperm is just going to be building up and then going back in your body, which is fine. That's what it's meant to do, but it's also meant to leave your body. So that is even if you're not doing it for inherently sexual reasons, in terms of how your body functions, it's good to clean out them pipes.
Yeah, it's good to clean out that pipe.
That pipe's gotta get clean.
Okay, get the stuff out of it.
Get the gook.
Get the gook out that pipe. It's also like they I forgot what I was gonna say. Is it true that when men get a little bit older, if they don't use it, they lose it? Like, if they don't use their cocks, they like
not really.
Okay, then my husband lied to me.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a thing.
He was like, if I don't use it, I lose it.
But I don't know that that's from a physiological perspective. From a mental perspective, yes, because people get into their heads. So there's the age-old trope that, old people don't fuck, and it's like the woman's fault because like she doesn't want to fuck and she's turning everybody down. Statistically speaking, from a therapist perspective, when it comes to sex and aging, the majority of couples stop having sex because the male in a cis straight relationship, the male partner does not want to have sex.
Oh, wow.
And the reason is because they, from a very early age, are used to predictable, reliable hard-ons and orgasms. So, or erections and ejaculations. So when they get older and that stops becoming reliable, again, going back to that sexual script of hard on, all that, when that stops becoming reliable, they no longer want to engage. And the longer it goes, the less they want to. And then you're in your head and blah, blah, blah. And ED is not a problem. Erectile dysfunction is not a problem. It's totally normal. It can be a problem if it's getting in the way. But what we're missing out in that conversation is that there are so many other ways to engage in sexual experiences. And that comes back to like the beginning of the conversation around virginity, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you are trying to help people work past that, we take the penis off the table. We focus on erotic touch. We focus on non-sexual touch. We focus on all of the things that just so happen to turn on a body with a vulva. And then all of a sudden, now we're able to discover different ways to have sex and engage in sexual activity and eroticism. And guess whose hard-on might come back? And also how we navigate when a hard-on goes away in the moment, and it's not a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Like, there are other things you can do, and that hard-on might come back. And if it does, it's like, what's up? Welcome.
Right?
Come on back in.
Doing?
Come on back to the party. We're still here. We're still hanging. So it's really interesting, these tropes that, you know, like virginity and, you know, getting older and not fucking. Like, old people be fucking.
Yes, they do. They be giving each other diseases and all kind of shit.
Because they're like, well, I'm not going to get pregnant, so I don't need to use a condom. Bitch, you need to use a condom.
You need to use a condom. Your shit burning. Oh, burning ass crotch.
Fucking burning down the house.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, old people do fuck.
They do fuck. And they should be. Like,
they should be, yeah.
You know, like, again, the holistic being. Like what you said before with, like, sex is at the base of everything we do.
Every single thing we do.
Everything.
It's so weird. Like, but it is like that, you know, but that's natural, you know. And if you look at dogs, if you look at animals, how they interact with each other. Yeah. They're like smelling each other's ass and pussy as soon as they meet each other.
Yeah, they're like, what's up in there?
I was like, what's up with that in
dick? Yeah, what'd that dick do?
Immediately. You know, they don't wait like we wait.
What that booty do?
Okay. Let me smell your booty hole real quick.
Yeah, right? You seen Sally this week?
Right.
Wait.
Oh.
No, that's Linda. Oh, that was definitely Linda.
Exactly.
They actually do get that information.
They do.
They get it from, like, when they're just like sniffing pee on a tree. They're like, oh, Jimmy was here?
Yeah.
He has 3 litters? Damn, Jimmy's getting out in the world. Like, it's wild.
That's wild.
Yeah. Dogs, man. They have it. They know what's up.
Your dog is staring at me as we talk about
She's like, I need you to be touching me right now.
That baby.
Yeah, they're pretty demanding, but they're cute as fuck. So it's early, but we were kind of just talking about it. So it's time for a pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
Pop quiz. I should have a theme song for that.
Yeah, you should.
Then I just have to keep producing more shit, and I can't. Although I could just, whatever, I put sounds in later. Anyway, I digress. All right. This is an STI question. What type of infection is gonorrhea?
Gonorrhea is a permanent infection.
No, bacterial.
Oh, bacterial.
And it's resolved with antibiotics.
Oh, you can get rid of gonorrhea?
You can get rid of gonorrhea.
Yeah,
it's not permanent.
It's not permanent.
Yeah. So gonorrhea, a lot of times there are no symptoms, which is why testing is so fucking important.
Oh, wow.
60% of positive results came from people that did not have symptoms. They just came in for general screening.
What?
Or because they may have had exposure or something like that. But the vast majority of STIs are transmitted because there are no symptoms. So first and foremost, that you need to know.
Oh, wow.
But the symptoms of gonorrhea, that burning pee. So it's that painful urination, burning urination. For people with vulvas, it'll be a yellow or a bloody discharge. And for people with penises, it could be a pus-like discharge out of the penis.
A bloody discharge?
Sometimes, yeah. But again, the vast majority of cases have no symptoms at all.
Oh, that's even scarier.
Yeah, that's why testing is so important. But there's so much stigma, like, you know, thinking that gonorrhea is permanent. I bet a lot of people do think. I think most people think, like,
idiot. I don't know why I thought it was permanent.
Because I think most people tend to think that, like, any STI is forever.
Yeah.
Which the only STIs that are forever, I think these are the only two, are going to be herpes, that's forever, and HIV.
Oh, okay.
But you can live with both of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that
you're going to die.
Yeah, like herpes is fucking nothing. And by the way, basically everyone's got it. 1 or 2. 1 is of the mouth, 2 is of the genitals. So, like, we're walking around here being like, oh my God, herpes, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, all right, so you get some pimples sometimes.
Yeah. That's
what the
all
fuck?
That is.
But again, that comes back down to, like, purity culture and, like, this whole, like, you can't be fucking and, like, no one should be doing it until you're married and then you need to fuck so much.
Exactly.
Like, that's a bait and switch.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I do think that would be an interesting thing to survey. Think, like, how many STI, I don't even know how to survey that, how to put this, but, like, what STIs do you think are permanent? Because I think that there is
true.
this idea.
People need to know.
Yeah, I think there's an idea that like most of them are permanent, but the majority of them are resolvable with antibiotics or like creams or gels or, there are things that you can do to resolve them. HIV, you're going to live with that forever, but the times are changed. It's not
a
the
death
same.
sentence.
Yeah. It's not the way it was in the 90s. It doesn't mean that you're going to get AIDS. Like it doesn't mean those things.
Yeah.
It's not resolvable, but it's manageable. So, and the same thing with herpes. It's not resolvable. You're never going to you can't just get rid of herpes.
Yeah.
You're going to have it forever, but you could have herpes for your whole life and never have an outbreak.
Oh, wow.
I got it from somebody who never knew that they had herpes. They never had an outbreak, never had a symptom, never had anything, but they passed it along to me because they didn't know. So people who know their statuses are the safest people around because they know what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But herpes is also hard to test for because unless you have exposure or symptoms, then it's like,
why would you test for it?
Yeah. Like you can get a PCR, but the PCRs can be unreliable sometimes as we've learned through COVID. Yeah, so that's a whole other thing, but there's so many misconceptions around sex and sexuality.
Yeah, there is. And it's not hot to think about STIs. It's like you could think about all these people that you want to fuck and not one time does it cross your mind like they could fucking me up.
Yeah.
They can make me so sick. Like, it doesn't even cross your mind.
And that is like, it's so resolvable by a conversation. Just like before you fuck, like, hey, who else you fucking?
Right.
When you get tested last, we will be using a condom. Yeah, because it's a conversation we don't have and haven't normalized, and like we've surrounded so much shame around testing positive for any sort of STI. People are afraid to have the conversation, so they don't. And then what happens? Y'all be passing shit.
Yeah.
So it's like
nasty.
We all need to get over the fear of the conversation. And I was literally talking about this earlier because I was talking to somebody and they were telling me how someone else had been sharing their herpes. Like this was like someone who told him these stories that they had been sharing their herpes disclosures and like, it was a woman that was sharing it with men and like these dudes were like freaking the fuck out. And I'm like, okay, they give her a fucking gift. Mind you, these were also men that like wanted to be raw dogging her. So it's like they were freaking out because shit just got real for them. Right. Yeah. And it's like, of course, but it's a gift. If you are with someone and they're like unwilling and they're like, and they're like having this big reaction, first of all, that's their shit. You do not need to take that on. It's not your job. It's not your problem. But that's a gift being like, okay, you know what? This is not the person that I need to be having sex with. Yeah. If you can't talk about sex, we can pass.
Right?
Yeah.
That means something's going on with you that,
yeah,
I don't want to have anything to do with.
Yeah. I get it. It's hard. Like, I get it. I had to get used to it. But like, I got used to it real fast because I was like, oh,
it's natural.
This is just a conversation.
Yeah, it's just a conversation.
Just talking about. Okay, this is fine.
Some people are really weird.
Yeah. Well, because again, there's so much shame around talking about sex and sexuality, like full stop. But that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about it. Yeah. Thank you for coming and talking about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
This was fun.
And you, before we totally wrap things up, you released an audiobook last year.
Oh yeah,
in 2022. That thing was really fun.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
I had written something like a couple years ago, and I was like, this would be so dope if I put it on on an album. It's like a storytelling album.
Yeah.
And so I did a short EP of like two stories. But what I did was like recorded them the way that I would record them. So like, I did all the little things that I would do just to see how it would sound. And I was like, that's kind of dope. I'm about to put it out. So
yeah.
So then I just put it out. Like I took some photos, put a little, parental advisory on the bottom and was like, here's an EP. It's my EP.
That's so fun. And then you just did, was it a one-woman show that you did?
Yeah, I did a one-woman show a couple weeks ago, actually. It's called Stage Pains. And we just had a taping of it and 2 really good sold-out shows. And we recorded it. And the one-woman show is me, but then I have 3 different actors doing voiceover work behind stage. Oh, cool. And so, like, I'm talking and then I'm battling with these 3 voices, certain parts. So it's a whole story that's told from like different parts of my life as a comedian, as a stand-up comic. And it starts out in a comedy club, and then I kind of teeter off into other ventures, and then we go back to the comedy club, and then I teeter off and then back. So
oh my God.
yeah, it's a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what I've been doing lately.
That's amazing.
And I'm fucking.
And she be fucking. Not
I be
only
fucking.
Ma'am, you are not fucking. You are coming.
Oh, and I'm coming.
Mm.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how I come.
Yeah. Normalize all the sounds, baby. Let it out.
Normalize the sounds.
Normalize the sounds. Don't be holding back.
Don't be holding back.
Do not hold back your orgasm.
Honestly, if you look up my stand-up, you're going to see an orgasm joke that might make you laugh pretty hard.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear that noise, but way more distinct.
And where can people find you?
Oh, well, you can go to my Instagram. I need more followers. So go to my Instagram and follow me at Jil Chrissie. That's 1 L. You'll see the spelling on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can look me up on YouTube, and you'll see like I did something for Hulu called The Beatles. It was written and performed by me, and my friend Simone Baptiste directed it. It's a short, and it's so fucking funny. So, check me out.
Check her out. It's going to be in the show notes. We always put them in the show notes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
This was so fun. I think it was Eric Owusu who was like,
"Oh, Eric!
I love Eric.
I love Eric. That's my dude right there."
Yeah, he's good people. Shout out to Eric.
Shout out to
we
Eric.
love you, baby. Hey. And if you don't fucking tell me that you saw this and you heard us giving you a shout out, right, I'm gonna know you're not watching.
Okay, you can't lie.
Because we're here. The people will know.
They gonna know. Eric.
Oh boy. Now I can't wait.
I know, wait. Right? You'd be like, so how'd you like it?
Did you hear the episode?
They'd be like, yeah, sure, I did.
Haven't heard from you this week,
right?
Eric.
You lied.
Oh, but thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking a chance on a stranger, because I too need followers.
No, I appreciate you. No, this is great. And like, you're so persistent. It's like she is persistent, like on your shit. So I appreciate that.
I told you I'm a producer.
Yeah,
I'll fuck around.
I was like, this lady is on another level.
This is a busy fucking town.
It is.
And if I really want to, like, I plan to do this for years. Mm-hmm. Like I do want this to be a stage show, and like doing, like, I got big dreams, y'all.
Okay.
But also, like, I want to have people on that I like, that I think are funny, that are talented. And that means that the people that I'm contacting are gonna be busy, and it's gonna be hard. And honestly, now that production is back, like, I'm gonna be busy too. So it's, even this is like, I'm fitting it in between shoot schedules. So it's like, we're all really busy in this town. Thank you, booked and blessed, whatever.
But it's all random.
It's all random. Like, and so, so coming from that perspective, I just know how it is. And also, like, if somebody doesn't want to do the show, they're going to tell me that they don't want to do the show. And otherwise, like, I want to give people a platform. It's a teeny tiny platform right now, but
it's going to be big.
Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, if somebody's Googling your name, this shit might come up. And so that's just like another hit for people. And I think that's a really, like, whatever. I'm not doing that much. I'm not like a fucking saint or whatever, but like, I'm gonna be persistent with the people that I'm like, no, I want you on my show.
Exactly. Persistence is the key in this town. That's why you have to be as persistent.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a way to do that too.
Yeah.
Where it's not like, and hopefully I wasn't fucking
No. And you did it perfectly. That's how I knew you were in the business or something.
Yeah.
Because the way that you did it, I was like, you did it very producery. I was like, she's persistent, but it wasn't bad. It was just like, okay, because it's not on my mind.
Yeah,
nothing's on my mind. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, you put it back on my mind, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
need you to keep doing that.
And I'm the same way. Like, I forget everything. If it's not in my schedule, it's not real. And if I gotta like circle back with someone, like, I don't know. So it's literally my job to do that. Yeah. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being open. I'm so glad that we worked it out. And I'm so glad that the reason that we couldn't work it out for so long was because you were working.
Yeah,
I
was working. Set. I know. I was very happy to be on set too. I'm very happy to be working right now. Okay.
Yes. Look at his face. Get on YouTube. If you're listening, then get your ass on YouTube and look at that face.
Okay. Look at this face.
Oh, I got to do a wrap up. So we have YouTube. So go on YouTube if you're not there. The Instagram is Birds and Bees Don't Fuck without the U. I don't even know what I'm going to have going on at the time of this podcast in January. I think I'm going to hopefully have at least one class up on elixir.life. It's elxr.life. I'll link it in the show notes, but I'm going to start having some classes for you. You can book time with me because now it's January. So I am going to be opening up my calendar for coaching. So I'll do some of that shit. I'll get on a call. Let's work out some shit. Let's figure it out. Let's send you away with some homework. I don't know. Fucking listen, like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you like this podcast or you like Jill, then you're like, yo, check that shit out. I don't know. I think I did the thing. So thank y'all. Love you. Bye.
Bye. I think you did.
Thank you.